Hello, Sarah. I'm so excited to welcome you to the Healer Hotspot. We had a bit of technical difficulties, but where there's a will, there's a way. So here I am introducing Sarah and Sarah's work on the Healer Hotspot for the week. And this is Sarah's bio. So just sit back and relax while I read all about you, Sarah. You are magic. I am magic. We are magic. What I bring to the world is the limitless love we all truly are. I open up hearts and minds to the infinite, creating safe spaces where we can feel everything again. I am courageous, inspiring, deeply and completely free. I live my wildest dreams, encouraging and inspiring others to do the same. Through confidence and clarity tutoring, I embody and share my passion for learning that fuels the mind, body, heart, and soul. My staff are all deeply passionate about their subjects, their students, and their lives. Through everlasting expansion, I share the profound wisdom we all know and are by tuning into collective consciousness, your higher self, and the energy that creates worlds, God. Using meridian points, channeled messages, oracle cards, sound frequency, and anything that comes through, you get to experience an expanded reality and expanded you beyond your wildest dreams. Through my poetry and writing, I honour all that I feel and experience, creating a space. My readers need to honour what resonates in them too. We are one. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So, hello, Sarah.
Hi.
How did that feel? It always feels when you read your bio, like when someone else is reading about you, it feels like, but how did that feel?
Good. Yeah, I hate writing bios, so I created a document a few months ago with all of the information that I would ever need, a short bio, a long bio, one for this business, one for that business. So now I have it ready to go whenever someone asks.
That's beautiful, and that's cool. I think a bio is very important for us professional healers, and because you never know, you never know who's going to ask for it, and something that resonates with your heart and soul. And I can, as I was reading that, we're intuitive. We can sense whether it resonates, and that's beautiful. So I was going to, I'm looking at your bio now, and you mentioned I wanted to ask you about confidence and clarity tutoring, and also everlasting expansion. So confidence. So one of my normal questions, I'm just going to write these down. One of my normal questions is what brought you to the healing arts?
A hunger and a thirst for learning and being everything that I am. So, and it was confidence and clarity tutoring actually. So confidence and clarity tutoring is for academic tuition, but my academic journey, because I want to learn all the way down to a soul level, brought me to energy healing. And I think because the way that I teach and the way that I learn is so deep, in order for my business to take off, I needed to do a lot of energy work on it because people weren't ready. So I needed to create an energy field that was educational long before they have an opportunity to book in.
Yeah. So how does brings me to a couple of questions. How do you work? And then what does that actually mean? What did that mean for you?
So I didn't realize at the time, but my teaching is completely intuitive. And it never looks the same. It's always catered towards the particular student's needs on every level, their emotional needs, their physical needs, because it all contributes to how quickly and how deeply and how broadly they're going to be learning whatever the curriculum focus is that we're looking at. And usually whatever we're focusing on in the curriculum unfolds from the first how are you. We might be doing vocabulary that day, or we might be doing fractions, or we might be doing conversions. It just depends on what they're ready for energetically.
So do you teach teenagers and adults, or do you teach?
Yeah, children, teenagers and adults.
So so how do you, because that's a whole navigation process in itself, because there's a cognizance reality there that you need to teach to, and sort of deliver the information differently. So,
and different conditioning as well.
Exactly, and environmental. Do you do it online, or do you do it in a classroom?
Both. So we have, I work from home, so we have a tutoring room and a workshop room here, and I also do Zoom sessions.
And do you work with groups, or do you work with one-on-one?
We have one-on-one and we have groups.
And what is the main goal of your work? So does it integrate into I'm sort of thinking that it integrates into normal streamlined schooling, and
yeah, kind of like their reports improve really quickly because they start to learn faster than they've ever learned before, and naturally it helps them take more responsibility for their own learning. So there's no kind of blaming the teacher for anything anymore. It's the teacher is a resource that they get to use to learn in whatever direction they're learning in.
And so so is it you and your partner, and do you run the business together?
No, it's just me, and I have staff that tutor in their specialty areas.
Oh wow. So is it like a school?
Yeah, it's kind of going in that direction.
Yeah.
I often feel like, because we learn so quickly here, and especially when I first started tutoring, the first student that I ever had, I just felt like keeping her from school because we had 2 sessions a week, but she'd go back to school and get re-traumatized every time. And then we'd have to start again with all of the emotional foundations before we moved into because she wouldn't trust herself with what she learned in the previous session, just because she'd been back to school and the emotional cycles were reinforced again.
So what's an emotional foundation? What do you
So we have 5 core values, and the 3 that we focus on for the students' emotional foundations are confidence, clarity and passion.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I talk about passion as like our life force. If we didn't have our soul and our energy running through us, we'd just be a body that does nothing, a bag of bones.
You're really teaching about the soul, right?
Yeah, we have like a wellness tool, a self-check tool that they look at. They assess their own well-being on a mind, body, heart and soul level as well.
So is this something that you created from your studies and from your...
Yeah, so when I was in year 11 and 12 in particular, oh my gosh, it's like there's so much curriculum and parental and teacher pressure put on you. It's like you've got a whole world on your shoulders. And then your friends are falling apart around you mental health wise, and people's family members are dying because grandparents are dying at around about that age. And it kind of feels like this whole world of curriculum is put on your shoulders, but why does it even matter? People are dying. And I needed something to help me check in with myself so that I could, because I'm deeply passionate about learning and I was deeply passionate about teaching, but I was having an existential crisis every 3 weeks.
Normal for that age. and that amount of pressure, I agree.
Yeah, and I don't know anyone, still to this day, I don't know anyone who finishes year 12 more mentally healthy than they started year 11. Wow. That concerns me.
Yes, yes. So how do you navigate the school system? So do you go into the school system and share some of the tools, and then you invite them to work with you, or do you work with the teachers, or do you have a system that you teach at the schools? Or how do you do that?
That's the plan. I've found it really, so I taught Indonesian in schools for about 5 years, and I find it really difficult to, it's easy here because it's our own space and people have some kind of education about what we're doing before they come because they've been following our Facebook page or they've heard about us from someone else. Schools have such a structure already in place. So the plan is to start working alongside schools and with schools. I just have to find a way to do that that's harmonious and not disruptive.
Yeah. So it's an interesting. I find it's like, as a teacher that taught in schools and in the TAFE system, and I can see the real benefits of it. And it's almost like a spiritual teaching, a soul connection. The real work. We all learn A, B, and C. This is what I'm thinking. Down the track in my life, it is the real work. It is the foundational work that's important. So well done, you. Do they buy, when they buy from you, and do they buy one session to start with, or what's your business model? So let's talk about, that's the content. Let's talk about your business model.
So we have a few different services. The main two are probably private tuition and focus groups. So private tuition is one-on-one, and that's usually weekly. It could be twice weekly. My favorite is twice weekly because you get really strong momentum, and you get a really strong bond with the student. And we have a 2-week trial period, so they can pay as they go for the first 2 weeks, and then they decide whether they want to commit to the rest of the term. And they can either pay for the whole term, or they can get a payment plan that's monthly, fortnightly, or weekly.
That's great. And I love the fact that you give them an introduction, because I think it is, for me, it's about connection.
Yeah.
And it's about supporting, how do I best support myself and support them in the intention of the service.
And it's parents as well. So I've started to realise that we actually get, at a certain point, parents start sabotaging the students.
Yeah, because it's a whole re-education process. Yeah,
and it goes, they start becoming leaders in their classroom. The students become leaders in their classroom, leaders in their families, and they start surpassing their parents in all different areas. We need frameworks that support the parents as well. And that 2-week trial period is for the parent to adjust as well as for the student to adjust.
Yeah. And then you're providing them evidence of what your work can do too. So
yes. Yeah.
In 2 weeks, it's a really lovely turnaround, especially if you're meeting, if you're meeting 4 times a week, they really get to, like, 4 times in the 2 weeks. That's great, Sarah. Yeah, really lovely. So do you work with adults as well? What do you do with the adults?
So far we've done some adults come to us for things that they've missed in school.
Okay.
And they just feel like going back, and like we had an adult, a 60-something-year-old, book in for year 10 maths.
Okay.
Because she wanted to keep her skills up. And she wanted to go back and relearn those things that she'd forgotten.
So do you teach the normal disciplines as well, like the pathways, the normal subjects, like English, the primary subject, English, maths, science?
Yeah. So we break down the curriculum, and another thing that I'm really passionate about is making the students aware of the curriculum. Because when I first started tutoring, I was 15, and I found the curriculum for my student who was in grade 5, and I read it, and I was horrified because I was getting A's in my reports, which in the Victorian reporting system means above standard, well above standard. C means at standard. D is below standard, etc., etc., etc. I should have been getting D's if you look at the curriculum and what I knew, but because I was the top of the class and I wasn't badly behaved, I was getting A's. And that happens everywhere. But the problem with that is that maths is an accumulative subject. So I miss grade 5. There's a huge leap in the curriculum in what you need to know from grade 4 to grade 5. And then for the next 4 years, it just builds on grade 5. By the time I was in year 8, it caught up with me. And I'd gone from getting 100% in my maths test to 70-something. And then it was a decline from then on because nobody was going back to the foundations that I missed in grade 5.
And so is that what you do? Go back and set those cognitive foundations and then build on that? That's a huge missing tool, and I'm sure a lot of people would benefit from that. So there was a few things. So you started when you were 15. Go you, Sarah. So that means how long have you been tutoring for? A few years.
Wow, this is my 9th year, nearly 10 years.
Still a young'un. So so adults, we've done children and teens. You do teens as well. So I imagine at the primary school level, is it like do people come to you when there's gaps, when they're finding that there's behaviour issues or there's gaps in their learning and their teachers are saying they're just not getting it? What else? Why would do they have aids in the classroom, and where do you fit into that gap?
So we have 3 categories of students. One is extension. They come here because they just thrive on learning and they want to learn more, or their parents have education as a really high value. Often they're English as a second language parents, and it's really important to them that their child succeeds and thrives in this country. The second one is support level. So they're kind of middle of the class at school and they just want to, or maybe they're struggling with a few things and they're starting to notice that they're getting a little bit behind, and they don't want to fall behind. And then there's remedial, and usually by the time they get here, they're at least 2 years behind by the time they've noticed.
Oh, I'm looking at it at the overall and the structure, so that's the content, but I love the way that you've defined a process, and I think that's a key. Is anyone listening? That's a key to actually promoting and pitching at the right level to your clients. So if you know the process that you take them through and who you're fitting into that process, then that's a key to success. So thank you, Sarah, for sharing that, because that's really sometimes the healing community, because we take from here and take from there, and you know, the process gets lost. We know the results, but people really want to know the process, and that's our marketing information too. And if we can concentrate on what is and I think that we all have a unique process, but there's also a collective process according to whatever experience. Unique because the experiences we've had, but collective is a standard process.
Yeah, like my self-check tool with the mind, body, heart and soul levels of wellness, I developed that just for me to get myself through year 11 and 12. But 2 years ago, after I knew how to muscle test and channel, I developed it further, and I found out like I was using 4 basic levels of basic foundations for mind But then I thought, oh, what if there's 4 for the others? And I muscle tested if there were, yes. And then I found that they were actually universal. They weren't just for me. So I trialed it on my staff first, and now I use it for my everlasting expansion clients and my confidence and clarity tutoring students.
So I'm glad you mentioned everlasting expansion clients. Tell me about that.
That's where I don't have to follow anybody's curriculum. So the aim of I have my sacred standards for everlasting expansion sessions in front of me. So the aim of everlasting expansion is optimization in every area of life, in every activity, every business. I can tune into the person's individual energy or their business energy or both. And our 7 sacred standards for everlasting expansion sessions are ever presence, infinity consciousness, focus, effectiveness, capacity, potency, and expansion. So every session that I have, I make sure those energies are all 100% active. And if I feel them go off, I activate them again. And then we're transported into this zone of potential and possibility and speed.
So is your main modality kinesiology? Is that or
I use tools from kinesiology. But my processes are all channeled. So it's probably something around optimization, my modality.
Okay, so I imagine there's a bit of quantum physics in there, some energy and matrix re-imprinting. I just wanted to throw out some words because we all have the channel capacity, like people that are watching this would have the channel capacity or feel they do. So I just want them to honour some of the work that they've done and some of the stuff that they're bringing in as well by themselves. So I love the fact that you said that you channel, because that's that unique part of what we offer. And how do people hire you for everlasting expansion? Are they generally entrepreneurs, Sarah, or do you target corporate as well?
Generally entrepreneurs at the moment. That's probably just because that's where I'm visible.
Yeah.
And also I tend to be a healer for healers and a psychic for psychics. So it's people who are already practicing in their own businesses, doing their own healing and their own psychic work, but they want to expand their intuition. That's probably the main people that come through everlasting expansion. They're wanting to get more in touch with who they are and more trusting of their intuition and bigger, larger magnitude, amplified capacities, higher reach.
Yeah, so that's amazing, because that's where you sort of like, if you're ready to fly, come and work with me. That's
it. And if you're not, you should probably not, because it's going to wreck your whole life if you're not ready for it.
Exactly. The soul only presents and I'm sure, I'm a deep believer that the soul presents you with what you need at the perfect time. And if you're not ready, it's not going to be there.
Even that's kind of like who I am as well, even being in my life in any level. Unless you would like to change, stay away from me.
That's pretty cool. That's good advice. You work with, so I'm thinking about your work schedule and how you get the work-life balance, because I think that's really important, because we can switch on, we can switch off, but that comes sometimes at a cost. So switching on and off. So how have you developed your work-life balance And then how do you switch on and off? So there's two questions.
I really struggled with it in those first 2 years. That was kind of when I was developing my tutoring business as well, those last 2 years of high school. And I mainly struggled with it because everyone was telling me I had to have work-life balance. Now I just have a total freedom policy, which means I can do whatever I want. And now I don't feel like I need work-life balance.
Yeah. Permission granted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're the one that grants it, so I like that.
Yeah. And I've got my work schedule is intuitively channeled also. So I do everlasting expansion work usually until 12 or 2 p.m. And then after that, I do confidence and clarity tutoring work.
Okay. And so so is it everlasting expansion mainly on Zoom, and the others are in person?
Yeah, mainly.
Yeah. And then you said you had staff. How do you hire staff? And who works for you?
At the moment, there's just Anna Harrison, who does high school maths is her specialty. She does focus groups as well. So she does maths, English, study strategy, success strategy. But that's her main thing. The hiring process is really interesting because I have really high standards in every area of my life, including for my staff. So there's a 4-step process now. It's resume, interview, what do we call that? It's like I haven't done it in a long time. I haven't hired for a while. It's like a free tutoring day. They come in and we invite our students in at the particular age group that person is wanting to specialise in. And they have like a tutoring day where they get to work with our students, and then I called the students up afterwards and asked them how they felt. And especially students that already come here, so they know what the energy of the business is and what they can expect from us. It's really good to get feedback from those students, and because the students have a really deep and trusting relationship with me, so they know that they can tell me how they really felt. So there's that, and then the next one is a 2-week trial period where they work for 2 weeks, and then we make a decision.
That's so good. I love, I just wrote down systems. I think you're really great at systems. I think, if that's one thing that that people get from this is how systems create really lovely boundaries. So that was my next question for you, is how do you create boundaries around your work?
That's how I create boundaries. So systems is actually one of my weaknesses.
Well, you're demonstrating strength.
But standards is one of my strengths. So I have really high standards, and when something is not okay with me, I know. And then I create the systems and the boundaries that stop what's not okay with me from happening and amplify what I love about my business and my clients and my staff.
That's so cool. So do you have energy boundaries as well?
Yes.
So
what space clearing meditations every morning and every night. I do chakra showers in general and in context every morning, every night, and whenever I feel them go off during the day. And I have a specific spiritual hygiene thing on my list every day where I go and zone in on my boundaries and see if there's any particular ones that need doing. Like I test up how many boundary sets I need to do and then what context they're in. So like I might need to do boundaries regarding my mum or regarding my dad one day, and they'll be on my list that I need to do. So then I do psychic, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and general boundaries in whatever the context is.
That's so cool.
Activated to 100% so that I know what's not okay with me and what is okay with me, and also so that people Other people, no. I'm less likely to have my boundaries violated when they're active.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned that's fascinating. I love that, because I wrote a course on energetic boundaries, and that's beautiful. There's a lovely synergy there. So chakra showers. Will you take us through a chakra shower? Would that be okay?
Yeah. Do you want to do one for the collective of the group?
Oh, shall we? Yeah, I think that'd be great if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that
is. Demonstrate your work and clear us all at the same time. So fantastic.
I just spaced here for my last session. Okay. Show me yes, show me no. Permission surrogate for the collective of business of healing. Yes. So I'm getting that we need to go up to chakra 14. So chakras 1 to 7 are in the 3rd dimension, 7 to 14 are in the 4th dimension. 3, solar plexus is only at 2% online. 2 tracks. So if we rub this point, $97. Love this point here. Ow. So the love one is about disconnection. I think that ties back into what we were talking about, work-life balance before. And there's this push and pull. There's a love of work and a love of family and a love of all different things, but it feels like no one's allowed to. It makes me want to cry. No one's allowed to commit to or connect to any of them, because there's this perception that if you commit to or connect to any of those things, you're going to give away the rest. Except that all of these things are now here, and because of that perception, you're not connecting with any of them, so you're out here all alone. And when you connect with one of them, if we're all that we are in every moment, and we're committed to all of them, we're not going to be disconnected. And then we can trust our hearts and our souls about the next step. So, okay, this is what my business needs from me today. And this is what my business wants to contribute to me today. It's not like our businesses just suck all of our energy. They didn't come to us to do that. That wasn't their point. They came to us with an energetic blueprint. They came to us with a wealth vibration. They came to work in congruence and harmony and synergy with our energy. They chose us for a reason.
Yes.
They could have gone somewhere else. They didn't.
Absolutely. I love the dance.
Yeah. Chakra 5, throat chakra, 2% as well. Confusion. So spleen point is on the left side. Ribs, it's a tender spot next to the breast. That confusion is also about those, but then there's all the things that you want to love and commit to and connect with you, and then there's over here, there's like the wayward path that you think that you should take because everything's too hard. And that's the confusion, because there's so much mental energy being taken up with this, the conflict about commitment and but what if I go over there? Is that my true path?
Love it. Love it. Yeah.
7, crown chakra. This one's only a little bit off. 97. Arrogant. family mainly. So the family that we grew up in, so the parents and the brothers and the sisters not being able to understand our choices and telling us that we need to go down that wayward path that we keep getting confused about and thinking maybe we should be going down there because that's our true destiny, that our brother said that we should go down because he knows better than us all the time. Clearly, no, he does not. Usually, actually, those people that are telling you to go down that wayward path, they're just avoiding doing the work that scares them that you're doing. They just don't want to face the trauma, that's all.
Exactly. Right. This is not for the faint of heart.
And no.
Everyone would be doing it, and it's consistent and it's intense at times. My goodness, life does get better. So do you do the 8 to 14? You've just done that.
So we're up to 12 now, and then
okay.
It's filled. So I just test up which ones aren't completely online, okay. And then if there's extra information that needs to come through, then that comes through as well. Okay, so we've gone from 1 to 14 now, and all of them are 100% active from bottom to top, from top to bottom, for giving, not for receiving though.
Oh, okay.
So trust and not for power. So I say from bottom to top, from top to bottom, for giving, for receiving, from money, love, wealth, power. And the reason that I have money, love, wealth, power on there is because of wealthy wild ones and my work with wealth, which I didn't put in my profile because it's fairly new, but that's one of the exciting things about my work as well.
I'm going to put it in when I include the bio, because that's one of our healing. I think healers, a balance of giving and receiving. That's something we really work on in a lifetime. And if you have longevity, you will be better at both and have a balance and have boundaries around it. And definitely, I talk about leadership, power, and influence, which is money, wealth, power. It's sort of all in there. So that's really love it. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. So the emotion in receiving, disgust. It's not self-disgust, it's like a perception that and an intuition that other people are disgusted with you receiving. And it's actually mainly an intuition. That's again that thing where you're doing the work and then their trauma gets activated. It's not your problem, but it's hard when you're an intuitive to feel other people's ulterior motives and other people's negative feelings towards you and not take it personally. Especially when you know you're right. Like you know that you're correct, that that's how they feel. And it doesn't seem fair, but it holds you back from being all that you are because you don't want people to feel like that about you.
Yes. So
that was in power, actually, being powerful.
Yes, it is. I don't know whether to
it's done now.
Done now. Okay. That's why I was waiting for the. Yes, thank you. That's a shower. So the shower is connecting into various. Oh, there you go. Thank you. I'm receiving that too. For the collective, and thank you, Sarah, for being so generous and clearing us of those things that. I think they hook in, they're old.
Yeah, there are 4 things in that one: entanglements, hooks, stagnation, and trauma.
So entanglement, I'm going to write this down: entanglement, hooks, stagnation, and trauma. Hello, is that you or me?
It's me. I have a mysterious beep in the corner of my house that I haven't solved the mystery of yet.
So where can people, that was amazing. I love intuitive work. I love channeling. I love processes. I love systems. I think systems do keep us safe. So work on your systems. I wasn't very good at systems either, but since I know my systems and know what my delivery, my process is, that's made my work a lot of the foundation. And then I can add things, and it's fun. It's fun. And then I love what you just did there. It was very generous of you, Sarah, because I imagine that something like that would be part of your everlasting expansion package, I imagine.
Yeah, I have a chakra shower package for $517.17 for 3 sessions.
Well, that's great.
And that's focused on the chakras in particular. And also sometimes people choose a focus, like they're drawn to that service, but they know that they need to work on embodiment, for example, or grounding. And then we add specific work on that into what we're doing. So that's really a foundation package, that one.
So could you put your foundation package, when I upload this up, you can put that in the thread. So this is amazing. So it's amazing work. It's really, I think it's our foundational work, and it's also expanded work. So expanded consciousness for sure. How do you get your pricing? Because I'm really interested in how so that's what I work on, numerology in my life path, and I have particular elements of my pricing, and I have to add up to what feels good. And then of course I work on my costings and all of that as well. But yeah, so you muscle test.
Yeah, or for the chakra shower package, for example, that's usually I'm $400 for a session for an hour, and that's 3 hours for $517.17. That was something that I channeled while I was driving. I think the whole package came through while I was driving with the price, so I just did it.
That's so cool. and it feels good, and it's selling, and that's all you need, right? That's yeah, and you know the results. So that was amazing. And so if you were, one of the things I've been asking, do you want to add anything? I've got one more question for you.
I have to do the question.
One of the things I've been asking everyone I interview, what is the best piece of advice you can give a healer? Who is expanding their business, who is starting out, starting on a new platform, or expanding to another level? What would you like to tell maybe your past self, or maybe, someone who is...
I think the most important thing for a healer is boundaries. So you need to know, and if you can do like 3 sessions on yourself around boundaries to clear the conditioning and trauma that you have around the concept of boundaries, that needs to be the first thing that you do, or the next priority, because lots of people are interpreting boundaries as walls as well. I'm not meaning a barrier. I'm meaning you know what's okay with you, you know what's not okay with you, and you know what to do to ensure that your standards are maintained. Because when you're a healer, you're so sensitive to everybody else's stuff, and you can get so exhausted so easily if your boundaries aren't strong.
How do you keep your boundaries strong with this spiritual work?
I prepare for sessions in advance by channeling the message prior. And then I muscle test what I need as support for myself prior to the session and then after the session. Because often also we'll reach levels in a session that have never been reached before on a either country level, worldwide level, intergalactic level. And I need to process the knowledge that was received during the session. Lots of healers manage that by just forgetting they just channel and then they forget all the things that happened during their sessions. I don't want to do that because that actually negatively affects my boundaries going forwards. If I'm just forgetting and I'm not, it creates an energetic vulnerability in me.
Yeah, it sort of feels like a hygiene 101.
Yeah.
Like a container that you're creating. So knowledge is power, wisdom, you just create that.
Yeah. And then if there's something that happened in the container that I wasn't ready for, then I need to find out how to support myself afterwards so that I can integrate that information.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Wow. But well, that's another added piece, everyone. Like before and after, channel, ask, muscle test. What do you need? What is your support system? Because not everyone can do this work.
No.
It's for everyone. We really need to work on our own containers and our own safety, and then expand, then create love, but love within first.
And the other thing is that when we expand beyond our capacity, we go into sabotage.
Yes.
So if we have expanded beyond our capacity, it's important that we channel information immediately to find out what we need to do to support ourselves in that integration. Otherwise, we're going to stay in our sabotage patterns. Most people are in self-sabotage all the time because we just live in that state. And that's just our core beliefs, our old core beliefs fighting for their lives. So they recreate, like I've had a couple around punctuality and they just recreate themselves whenever I expanded beyond my capacity. That's true.
Say that again, because I think that's a really important point. The fingers out, 3 back at me, the fingers out. And I think for me, I say it's a revolution before the evolution. So we're always in that growing capacity and growing process, and maybe on a treadmill, and it's a moment of pause. And I think this is the key. The moment of pause is to realize that you're expanding, and that awareness about self-sabotage triggers, and then expand into it and know that you're safe. So
and know, like, so when self-sabotage is occurring, it's our old core beliefs fighting for their lives. So if we can be present to the behaviors, then we can see which core beliefs are manifesting, and then we can go and do a session on ourselves to undo all the trauma around the belief. We didn't need that. Well, we did need that belief for survival reasons for a while, but if it's fighting for its life now, we probably don't need it anymore. That's why it feels like it's going to die, but it's its own entity, and everything that's its own entity will fight for survival. So I have one that I haven't deactivated yet that is other people's needs are more important than mine. And in the last 2 weeks, that's really been frustrating me because I've been crossing my own boundaries. This is not okay with me. This is not okay with me. But that core belief is fighting for its life to remind me that other people's needs are more important than mine, and this belief has to stay alive. Or I could just go and untangle all of the conditioning, and then the charge on that belief will be deactivated and I won't need to manifest it anymore.
So by untangling, I love that process too, untangling. So you're just pulling out threads and conditions, and do you, I really love that. I think that's a core element of healing.
Yes.
We do care about people, but you have to care about yourself first before you give it all away. So that is a process that can they work with you for that process? Can people work with you?
Yeah, so in the chakra shower package, we work on chakras so that all of your energy centers are online, and we also work on boundaries. And if boundaries was something that you really wanted to work on, then I'd recommend that you either book boundary activations individually, which I can do either distance or in a session, or that you book a chakra shower package with a focus on boundaries.
So really Really love that. I really, and the self-saboteur is always there. We're always growing. It's its own entity. I love that little, you know, people call it the inner critic, the itty bitty shitty committee, but I haven't heard it called the entity before. So yes.
The belief becomes an entity because it has its own life force now.
Yeah. And as healers, we get that. And that's attachments, right? Yeah. So what was your, let's finish off on the biggest thing, and that's boundaries for healers.
Yeah.
Know your boundaries, healers.
Yes. What's okay, what's not okay.
Yes. And the way to do that is you can muscle test like Sarah does. You can go to Sarah and do your chakra showers, which I love the name of that, chakra showers. Boundaries. There's lots of information online, but there's lots of healers that are there to support you and to be supported as well. So is there anything else you'd like to add, Sarah?
About boundaries and chakra showers and survival instinct. So one of our main survival instincts is to shut down all of our chakras, and that's why I do boundaries and chakra showers usually at the same time, because if our boundaries aren't strong enough, our automatic survival mechanism will be to shut down our energy, and it just sucks because then you're tired and you can't be bothered and you don't have any life running through you.
No chi force. What do you work on? Chi? What do you call it?
I just call it life force.
Yeah, it is life force. It's so where do people find you, Sarah?
They can find me on the Confidence and Clarity Tutoring Facebook page, or the Everlasting Expansion Facebook page, or they can find me and Kelly at the Wealthy Wild Ones Facebook page.
Okay, can you give us those links as well so I can include them? It's been an honour speaking to you, getting to know you. You're a wise soul in a young body, relative. I'll talk about myself, relative. I really admire your wisdom and the support that you provide to the world. So thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us and for being magical you and creating magic in the world.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Blessings.